This is a video on domain and range for functions. So here, and graphing functions. So here we've got a function, and let's just call this function fx. And it doesn't really matter what the equation of that line is. The domain is all the x numbers that can go in. So it's the numbers that go into the function, which we generally call the x numbers on a graph. So the domain for this one will start down here at -6 for x, and because we've got a solid closed circle, that means that x has to be bigger than or equal to that, and less than, and the open circle here means that it does not include 4, so it goes up to 4. So we've got this as -6 up to 4 for the x numbers. The range is what comes out, and we tend to think of this with a graph as being the y numbers that come out. So our biggest y number is 1, but not including 1, and our smallest y number is -4. So we're going from -4, and we can have that because it's a solid circle, up to, but not including 1. Let's look at another one. Now, this time we've got a circle. Now we can see here that the x numbers are going from -3 right the way across to 5. So my domain is from -3, and I can include -3 up to 5. So -3 greater than or equal to for x. That's a -3. Let's make that a good -3. And we're going all the way up from -3 up to 5. And for the y, we just do the same thing. That's the range. We look at the smallest number we can have, which is -3, and this also goes up to 5. So that one, the range from there all the way up to there, -3 y up to including 5 as well. Let's look at another one. Now here we've got a straight line. It's actually the same straight line we had previously, but we can't see where this one ends. So for this, we can say that the domain can be any number that I can think of to put in for x. Even though the graph ends here at just past 8, it's carrying on, so it can keep going. And the range also is the same thing. So domain and range, and this will be true for any straight line where there's no restrictions, x is included in any real number. Finally, we've got one here. This one here is like a quadratic equation, and we can see that the x numbers, although the graph finishes here at about -2.5, is carrying on upwards, and this one's carrying on upwards. So for my x numbers, I can have x being any real number, and that's my domain, of course. Now for y, it's slightly different, because the smallest y value I've got on here is right there, and that's where y is -5. Y can be -5, but it has to be bigger than -5. So this number here becomes my range. So that's really simple how we can find domain and range from using graphs.